All right, we are seconds away from kick-off here. Lee Briers, your pre-match prediction, please. Who wins this one? Who heads to next Friday's grand final in Hull?
I just can't see Saints getting beat tonight. I'm going 12 to 18 points.
Says an old Saints boy. Let's go to our commentary team. Terry O'Connor, Barry McDermott, and good evening, Bill Arthur.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Lee Briers. Thanks, Phil Clark, John Wells. Everybody, let's get the game on. And Catalan do just that. Saints aiming for their 12th grand final, a record that would be. Catalan after their first ever appearance in the season decider. The reigning champions then, and favourites, St Helens, but the Dragons turn it on last time out against Leeds. They need to do that again this week. Barry, can they do it?
Absolutely they can, but they need a season's best performance from the likes of Sam Tompkins, James Maloney, Josh Drinkwater. The lads in the studio have talked about that kicking game, but make no mistake, they're going to get a hell of a lot of attention when it's their time to defend. It's about handling those parts of the game and then delivering that killer blow when they've got the ball in hand.
Roby's first kick of the game, a good one, turning Tompkins round when he received the ball in that position last week against Leeds. He cut through and set up the opening try against Tom Davis, and St Helens not allowing him the luxury of doing that this week, that is for sure. But you can be guaranteed, Terry, that Saints are going to rip in early on and really try and blow Catalan away.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll be really fresh coming into this. And for Catalan, they've just got to make sure that they compete in all the areas against Saints. And the players will be well and truly be up for this. They won't be fazed by playing against Saints. They've beat them in big games before, but it's the defence. If Catalan wins this game, the defence has got to be spot on.
None bigger than that cup semi-final in 2018 as the kick is hoisted and Tommy Makinson is underneath that for the Saints, who, as Terry said, have had a breather. They're refreshed going into this game. Virtual full strength side to select from. Sadly no Mark Percival still.
No, both players missing some influential players. You mentioned that Challenge Cup final back in 2018. Justin Holbrook's men went into that final on the back of a 14-game winning sequence, so they were well and truly in form. But Catalan found some belief in what the coach was saying in the build-up and went out there and executed the plan.
Wormsley plays the ball and then gets up, and immediately he's hobbling. There's a knee problem by the look of things for Wormsley, as he just... No, he seems to be okay as he moves just back to the halfway line. And meanwhile, the kick is hoisted. Tompkins is underneath it and goes to ground as Grace arrived. Play the ball, Sam, says the referee Liam Moore. He was finding that a bit difficult.
Well, had to be really good then and brave when he went for that ball. Then Sam Tompkins trapped in the corner. Saints nice and tight. See Alex Wormsley now looking though he's moving freely. Samisoni Langi, well, he's hit really hard then by Bentley Ngama.
And Langi just reacted to that a little bit, and it takes something to prompt a reaction from mild-mannered Samisoni Langi, but he didn't like the shot. Here's Busquet now. One of the long-serving Catalan players, Julien Busquet. No McIlaurin, of course, no Joel Tompkins, as Maloney puts the kick in straight down the field into the arms of fullback Coote.
They cut the field off so well, Saints, don't they? On that occasion, just the fullback and the winger set back, but they catch it on the full. They're on the front foot, and Catalan Dragons trying to deal with the likes of Tommy Makinson, makes his meters as he always does.
Here is Kevin Ngama now. Hasn't got a great deal of playoff experience, Ngama. And here is a man with plenty of experience, and he gives the ball away, James Graham. First touch, really, and he's passed it straight to Maloney in the Catalan Dragons black shirt.
Well, Maloney just getting in between James Graham and his teammates, then just sensing that there's going to be an offload from the veteran. Comes up with vital possession and decent field position as well.
Sam Moa's pass is not a good one, but it's picked up by Sam Tompkins. Here is Matt Whitley. And Tompkins, it looks as though they were doing a quick step together, didn't it? They were on Strictly.
Well, there wasn't any social distancing in that little coming together then between him and Morgan Knowles.
I don't think you're going to
What's the
see...
judge's verdict on that one?
No, I don't think you're going to see
Oh, that was
social
high on
distancing all evening.
Casti.
Remy
No.
Casti was the player that came up with a big contact on James Graham when he gave that loose offload away. So the captain, Remy Casti, as he does week in, week out, charging the ball forward, taking that line forward while he's defending. And of course, discipline let them down last week, Catalan Dragons. It's discipline that will be the focus of this week. Yes, they've got to defend well, but they can't be a soft option and a soft target. And you're right, Bill, when he carried that ball, I think it was the first or second set of 6, Alex Walmsley, he was dealt with. He was handled by 2 or 3 players, and when he landed on his knee, he looked like he jarred it.
He's still getting treatment now, Alex Walmsley.
Yeah, it will take a lot of strapping to strap those legs up.
And Christian Wolf will be hoping that he won't be leaving the field. He has been instrumental over the last few years, and it was interesting when you listen to John Kay talking about him. Said that he was big, he didn't know what he was doing when he signed at Batley, but we knew that it was just going to be a great player.
So the first points opportunity of the game goes to the Catalan Dragons. Maloney will try and kick this. He landed 5 from 5. He's joint top goal kicker in Super League this season with the man wearing number 1 for the Catalan Dragons, Coote. And as it stands, Maloney goes ahead. 61st goal of the season, puts Catalan 2-0 up. Mind you, Hull FC did that against Wigan last night. It didn't get much better for them after that.
No, well, Steve McNamara, he'll be hoping that he can keep on knocking those points over. Like you said, that Hull FC were the first to score yesterday, but then all of a sudden the wheels seemed to fall off them, and Wigan seemed to get a real foothold in the game.
But it's a good start for Catalan in terms of settling into the game. And here is Sam Moa, promoted to the starting lineup for the Dragons tonight, normally on the bench, but because of the absentees, he's promoted, and Remy Casti goes to loose forward for Steve McNamara's team. No such selection problems for Christian Wolf. Here is Julian Busquet. Busquet doesn't make much progress. 25 metres or so away from the line. It's quickly on to Israel Folau. He gets the pass away to Tom Davis, and Davis taken down by Welsby. Maloney. And now here is Remy Casti. Great servant for the Catalan Dragons, Casti, and some question about whether he will be playing for the Dragons next season as well. That's a good kick, and Coote having nothing to do with it.
Well, that's exactly what you want. Lee Bray's talking about kicking the corners and kicking the ball into decent space and not letting Lachlan Coote link up with Regan Grace or Tommy Makinson in those early plays that then benefits Alex Walmsley on tackle 3. Take the game away from him, slow it down, and control the ruck and control the way that James Roby plays.
4th set for Catalan, 4th completed set. They're running at 100%, and I think it's 3 times on 3 occasions Maloney has not only kicked from the left side, he's kicked from the right side too. So he's taking charge and control of that aspect for his side.
Here is Alex Walmsley, magnificent tash on him at the moment, and I think that's part of his Movember effort, and all credit to the big front rower for playing his part in the Movember campaign. He has had some pretty impressive whiskers this month, hasn't he?
Yes. Are you aiming that at me?
No.
Are you saying mine's not quite as impressive?
Yes, in a word.
It's just a bit grey, mine. That's good kick from Saints. Long kick, will it hold up in the field of play? No, it's just a little bit too strong. Lachlan Coote, influential player that he is. It's a fascinating battle. Lachlan Coote, Sam Tompkins, both have such an influence on their side. Lachlan Coote in that 5-man selected panel for the Man of Steel, the Steve Prescott Man of Steel. It's been a good year for him.
This is Israel Folau playing the ball. He's another one who's staying with the club next season. Tom Davis, but great defensive work, stopping him in his tracks. Grace with the tackle. Alrix da Costa, big pressure on his shoulders with McAlorum out suspended. Da Costa coming straight into the lineup, and they'll be looking to him to guide the side round. That's another good kick. This one is going to sit up, and Coote is going to have to deal with it. Great kick that was.
Well, you'd take that from James Maloney on the third play, wouldn't you? They were struggling for metres, and Remy Casti didn't have anywhere to go. And his carry, and again, just look how aggressive they are. They're not sitting back and waiting for Saints to play, are they?
And that's going to be a penalty.
Wait for the goal.
It was the haste to get up the Catalan Dragons. Just a little bit too quick for Liam Moore.
Just look how tight they are as well, Barry. They're really challenging the goal forward of Saints.
It was a heavy contact or a heavy tackle, a jolting tackle from James Maloney. But I said about Saints running numbers at Maloney and Drinkwater netting. There's another one there.
I think that might have been a bit of a payback on Bentley.
Yeah, it just ends up a little bit too high, doesn't it? But running numbers at Drinkwater and Maloney will make the defenders around them just a little bit nervous and jumpy.
Back-to-back penalties. That is ominous. Generally spells trouble for a defending side, and it's allowed Saints to come marching up the field. But again, they deal with Walmsley well. Garcia with a vital tackle to stop his progress. Here is Morgan Knowles now. Busquets gets a hold of him. Saints advancing now. Catalan Dragons retreating, almost back on their own 20. Graham bowing out, hoping to bow out on a high. Here is Lomax. Lomax gets the pass away, and it reaches Grace, and Grace will... Maloney clatters him high.
Well, he's not known for big hits, is he, James Maloney? And that little switch play, but you can always tell where the ball's going to go. You look at Lachlan Coote floating at the back, and then you see how he just links up. He gives the ball to Grace. Maloney comes across.
You say he's not known for big hits, but he is known for that. He is known for flinging his body into defenders. You can see there, for an experienced player to have both feet off the air, there was a number of them last week. James Maloney, he's beaten for footwork, he's going in the opposite direction of Regan Grace. He might find himself in the sin bin here.
Ben Thaler is a video ref, and Liam Moore in contact.
It's like you said as well, Bill, back-to-back penalties, and then they go wide, they're attacking the line, and then is Barry going to be right? Is it going to be 10 minutes in the sin bin here?
It's going to be back-to-back-to-back.
Yeah.
To-back penalties, because that's the way it's looking.
I've lost count, Bill. How many is that? 4? 3?
It's 3, and it's a sin bin. It is yellow.
High tackle, 10 minutes.
And Maloney, who's been influential,
Speak to captain.
just has a questioning word.
High tackle, also for your referee.
He does have that in his game. I have seen it over the course of the season. The referee just having a word with the captain, Remy Casti now.
It's going to be more difficult for them now that you take McClorum out of there, you take the main playmaker out there, and Steve McNamara knows that he's got a real busy 10 minutes now. And giving 3 penalties away in the opening 12 minutes, well, it just won't help him, and he's just taking his time.
He is. Maloney is sauntering across the field. I think he's probably going to have a word with Tommy Makinson as he goes past. And we'll eventually get to the sidelines. The player plays on the other side of the field, and eventually it'll continue. So Catalan, after a good start, 12 minutes into the game, down to 12 men now, and this is going to be a test for Steve McNamara's defensive strategy. Can they withstand the Saints in the next 10 minutes while Maloney is off the pitch? They are retreating towards their own try line as Roby finds Coote. Tompkins comes and collars him just about 10 metres away. Now here's Walmsley, and Walmsley, big leg stride. There's 5 of them in there, 5 of them to stop Alex Walmsley. They managed to do that. Roby quickly on from Farge. Coote, oh, that's still alive, says the referee, and here is Grace trying to make something of it. Thought it had drifted forward. 4 tackles gone. Roby gets the pass away, and the try is scored by Coote. And Saints do capitalise instantly. And it was a wonderful pass from Roby. unselfish, right on the line. He probably could have made it himself. Instead, he presented the opportunity to Coote to get his 9th try of this Super League campaign.
Well, costly penalty and sin binning for this Catalan side. You can see Lachlan Coote and Regan Grace when they're bouncing across the field. James Roby is one of the most unselfish players in the competition. Like you said, he just pins that up, picks that up, and he's over the try line himself. But the unselfish player, just to tip the ball onto Coote, they don't have to be structured, Saints. All they're after is a decent play the ball for that man who's behind.
The impressive part of it is when it went wrong, how quickly they then readjusted in their minds. Celebrations at home for the St Helens fans. But when it went wrong, they quickly got back to plan. Lachlan Coote put himself on the short side. I think it was almost 3 versus 1 defender. Executed it perfectly.
So Coote gets his 9th try of the season. As mentioned, he was level with Maloney on 60 goals for the season going into this game. Maloney, with that penalty, nudged in front. Coote to bring them level now. A grand final winner on both sides of the world, Coote. And a goal kicker to boot. And St Helens 6-2 ahead.
Well, we've all come to this game hoping that Catalan can keep that discipline. Here's the yellow card. Here's the 10 minutes. 12 versus 13. Saints, smart side that they are. The decision made by Roby pops to the place where James Maloney should be, and they find the try line. Great start. When Steve McNamara talked about a clear plan, it would have been defensive based. It would have been about being aggressive, get up, take time and space away from St Helens, but you've got to get that right, otherwise you'll end up, as they have done, with 1 less number.
When the sides met at Leeds on August the 2nd, last meeting, then St Helens triumphed by 34 points to 6, and Coote was irresistible that day. 2 tries, 5 goals, 18 points. He's underway tonight.
When I went back and watched that game, the 2 players that ripped Catalan to bits were Zeb Taylor and Dom Peru, right on the edge, running at 6, running at 7, making it difficult for those players to inject themselves into the game because they were defending too much.
Well, here is the aforementioned Zeb Taylor, once of the Catalan Dragons, up to the halfway line, bowing out at Saints, and he's doing so in great form in these closing weeks of the season. That's the 5th tackle as Welsby is brought to ground. Coote gets some height on that kick. Tompkins is underneath it.
He was just trying to get his foot behind the try line. If that would have happened, then it would have been a tap on the 20 and 7 players for them. But perfect kick from Saints. Look at him, you can see he just tries to get his boot in and realises, no, I've just got to get upfield here.
Couldn't stretch that distance, Sam Tompkins. Catalan with Samisoni Langi. Another player in good form, a try scorer against Leeds last week, Remy Casti.
They need this ball over the sideline now, the Dragons. Chew up some time.
Now Drinkwater having a little tangle with Bentley on the halfway line as the ball is retrieved by Grace.
Bentley and Morgan, I love watching those 2 players. Their will to compete and their will to win lifts their team.
Cuts through over the halfway line. Tompkins makes the tackle. Now Makinson across the field to start with, and then he straightens up. Makinson eventually brought down by Tom Davis.
He's so good on that right to left run, skipping across the defensive line.
St Helens looking to capitalise. Theophage, once a Catalan Dragons junior before moving to pursue his career with Salford initially. Morgan Knowles just 5 metres away, and St Helens come in again, and Coote it is. Coote to Lomax. Lomax over the top and over the heads of Makinson.
Well, they were lining up on the right-hand side, and when the ball goes to Johnny Lomax, you can see the pressure from Langi, which forces him to throw that ball over the sideline. And Catalan know that they can't be passive in defence. They've got to make the right options as well and do anything to try and stop a try and conceding a try. And they're just slowing the game down here, waiting for James Maloney to come back onto the field, and so important that they win the collision.
There must have been a... St Helens have possession, beg your pardon, there must have been a... And that is going to be a penalty because Catalan were refusing to start. Now, is that a bit of cunning gamesmanship?
No, that's how much they were trying to slow the game down. They don't want to concede points here. Obviously, the clock had counted down. The hooter went, the referee gives the penalty right in front of the sticks. Remy Castille appealing to the referee. And that's what the shot clock's there for.
It's not unusual when a team is defending inside their 10-metre to only have one marker to keep that extra defender. I think that's what the Catalan players are talking to the referee about. We don't need two markers, that's what we heard them saying.
And Liam Moore just pointing out to Lachlan Coote that the penalty will be where the ball was supposed to have taken place.
Well, he's saying that he's calling. Obviously, he's calling Matt Whitley up. Drinkwater wasn't scored as well in front of the man who was playing the ball.
They are the other side of that 10-metre line, aren't they?
But
it doesn't do them any harm to keep that clock ticking.
And concede 2 points instead of potentially 6.
Absolutely, I hear what you're saying, Bill. It's the worst of two evils, or the best of two evils, isn't it?
Just a bit surprised. That ball must have been touched in flight, which is how come Saints were in possession and Catalan then conceded this penalty. We'll see many of those shot clock infringements. And Coots to extend St Helens' advantage, which he does. So Saints ahead by 8 points to 2. Let's hear from Phil Clark for the first time tonight. Down on the sideline, Philip.
Well, I suppose it was a period of surviving. The season was on survival there, wasn't it, to hold the line, and they did it really well. I think the Dragons have done well in the opening part of this game. The 3 penalties they conceded clearly didn't help. When you face St Helens, Tommy Makinson and Alex Worms, they make such a difference with the ground that they make. They've contained both of them pretty well. And Worms, usually comes off at about the 25th minute mark, so they're nearly there. They can stay to this 8-2 and get to the stage when Worms is off the field. They've got a chance.
8-2 they trail to the reigning champions against the Catalan Dragons side, who've made their 11th cross-channel flight in the last 16 weeks to be at this 10th cross-channel flight. I beg your pardon.
Whatever happens this evening, they deserve a huge amount of credit, the Catalan Dragons. Sacrifices they've made, the efforts they have gone to. Bernard Gouache, as we know, supports his club, both in terms of being there, supporting them emotionally and financially. Good on you, Bernard.
Maloney will be back on soon. I don't know if there is presumably a top meter maker award at these Super League Awards on Monday night, but I reckon there should be a top kilometre award as well to the side that has travelled the furthest this season, and it would be the Catalan Dragons, who by my reckoning with those flights since resumption have travelled over 15,000 miles backwards and forwards. Tompkins is underneath that ball. Talking about the awards, there you go, on Monday evening, 5:30 Sky Sports Mix. Join Brian Carney for the Super League Awards 2020. And I think that is on later in the evening as well. There you go, 10 o'clock on Mix and Arena. Penalty. All right, I beg your pardon. Maloney is just about ready to come back on.
Mate, it's his decision. It's his decision, James. Mate,
just on the sidelines.
Well, Liam Moore now, he wants the doctor and the physio to have a little look at James Graham. You see, he gets an elbow from young Jack Welsby. And he went down on the floor and he's saying, look, I'm not bothered. You want to stay on the field. We all know that, but we've got to make sure that you're okay.
Oof. See? That's not the way.
No, the youngster.
That's not the way to show respect for one of the great players of the game in recent history. There's a knock-on though from Samisoni Langi, and Saints will celebrate.
And that's why it's important that you get quick play of the balls, the stoppage in play, Saints all set, the speed to get off the line, the aggressive speed. just takes your eye line off catching that ball. You think you've got it, then all of a sudden the Saints defenders have got you.
There is a muscle memory in catching that ball without having to look at it. There is muscle memory there, but it heaps the pressure when you've got young bucks in front of you, trying to get their shoulder in and trying to force that mistake.
Well, the Dragons again
10 seconds.
watching the clock. Maloney is back on the field. They're back to the full complement. And the clock running down, the shot clock running down, and Saints will come again. They have dominated territorially since going ahead in this game. They haven't, apart from that coup penalty, managed to extend their lead, but they might do here now. Here is Zebtea.
8 points it cost them while they had 10 men.
They're again back on their own try line, the Dragons. 3 tackles gone. Here is Morgan Knowles. Walmsley is struggling once more. He's back up on his feet. Saints are on the 10-metre line. Roby, little change of direction. Coote it is, and Coote is collared by Samisoni Langi, looking to atone after that knock-on. It's the 5th tackle. Lomax takes that ball high. He will kick, not cross-field, into space, and it's Maloney who gets possession. Nowhere for him to go. Saints will get the ball back. The pressure will continue.
Good kick and good chase, forced Maloney to get hold of that ball. Then you can see the effort from Theo Fage, just putting pressure on Maloney, nowhere to go, and then all of a sudden there's 4 players, 5 players with Regan Grace that just comes in to effect the tackle and give Maloney nowhere to go whatsoever.
10 seconds, James.
James Graham off the field then for St Helens, who get the ball back once again. They've just had a non-stop stream of possession. Walmsley roaring forward onto that ball.
Bill, I wouldn't go for long kicks like that to Walmsley to give him a 20-metre run. I'd go a bit shorter.
Knowles, burst of pace from the young Welsh international. Here is Lomax. Welsby, nice footwork from Jack Welsby. In the end, it's Tompkins to the rescue for the Dragons, but again, Saints hammering on the Catalan Dragons' defensive door. Roby, good harassing of James Roby, and Fage is forced to pick up the pieces and then loses possession, and Catalan have it back. Good work from the Dragons' defence.
Yeah, it was Matt Whitley. They've got to pressure them from the inside, make them feel uncomfortable. And you can see Matt Whitley, he makes a little strip for that ball, one-on-one. The referee says that that's okay, that's play on. Catalan will get the ball back here. And they've just got to make sure they're in the face. And we were all talking about earlier, don't just sit back, admire what Saints are going to throw at you. And you've only got 20 metres to defend there, your trial, and that's when Saints are really strong.
They're hanging on at the moment, though, at the Dragons, aren't they?
They are, and we've talked about Mickey McLaurin not being available. Well, Alrix de Costa has missed the last 7 for the Catalan Dragons. So a long time between drinks for him. He's got to find that energy from somewhere.
Actually, he's offside.
Offside is the call from Liam Moore, the referee, and the Catalan Dragons get a penalty.
Well, again, they've just brought on their biggest man in Sam Cassiano. You can see that they're trying to get off the line really quick, and Morgan Knowles was bounced back then, and he is a strong defender. Knowles needs a big impact there, Cassiano.
So a change of scenery for the Dragons. They're into the St Helens half. Here is Drinkwater. Jason Baitieri now. Over 240 Catalan Dragons appearances for Baitieri. And here is Sam Cassiano now, and big strong run from a big strong guy, 6'4" 19.5 stone. Here is Whitley now. Whitley tackled just outside the Saints' 20-metre line, and here is Remy Casti. Casti, nowhere for him to go. Good defence from the Saints. De Costa goes short side. Little kick from Tompkins. Makinson retreating, and will have to concede the goal line dropout.
Great kick. We watched that last week, didn't we? Sam Tompkins against Leeds Rhinos just dabbed it 10, 12 metres into that danger area. And St Helens, they have to get on the bike, deal with the threat. Tommy Makinson has no option.
Tables turn then. And the Dragons force the goal line dropouts. And now maybe a chance for Steve McNamara's men to test the Saints' defence. They haven't really managed to do that so far tonight. The ball in the hands of David Mead. Mead keeping his place in the side. Fouad Yahat, regular wingman, is fit, but Mead is selected on the wing ahead of Fouad Yahat. Jason Baitieri now. Bentley comes charging in to join the tackle. He's been putting himself about.
It's the three kids, isn't it? Getting involved, getting stuck in.
Baitieri looking aggrieved. Liam Moore tells him he's milking it. Here's Sam Cassiano. Zeb Taya making the tackle down low. Quick hands from Alrix da Costa. The ball goes to ground and Catalan have squandered possession.
Well, James Maloney, the man who makes the mistake, they're going down that short side. So da Costa gives him the ball. It was a clean catch for him. Under no pressure really from Lachlan Coote. He just drops the ball cleanly. One of the most experienced players in the Catalan ranks.
There is bags of experience in terms of playoffs and grand finals in this Catalan Dragons side. Maloney, of course, 20 NRL playoff appearances for 4 different clubs. But it's St Helens who have the edge at the moment. Only 8 points to 2, 27 minutes of the game gone. Saints, who've contested every playoff series since their inception in 1998. They haven't missed out on the end-of-season jamboree. Bentley, Whitley stands his ground.
He's come up with 2 decent tackles. And although you see Alex Walmsley leaving the field, but Matt Whitley hit him just before he left the field. Then he hit Bentley. He's hurt Bentley as well.
That's good work. Israel Folau. And Maloney in there on Lomax as they try and unsettle the Saints with some aggressive defence in the Saints half.
You're right, Bill, they're doing a number on Lomax. As we see Saints put a deep kick in. Tom Davis in perfect position to catch it. Look at that defensive line set, but Johnny Lomax, he's had to do a lot of work defensively. When he's had the ball, he's had no think time. So Catalan, a real focus on the playmaker for Saints.
Catalan making a change. And Mikel Simon is on. First appearance for him since the start of the season, very first game, and he has left Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook trailing in his wake.
Yeah, that is a massive first carry, as you said, Bill, straight onto the field. He pushed a couple of Catalan players away, saying, I want to carry this ball.
He's in la-la land there. I don't know who catches him. I don't know whether it's Bentley or the shoulder of Mikel Simon, but he's in no fit state to carry on. That's 2 players who've been damaged and getting head injury assessments on the sideline for St Helens.
Well, Kyle Amor looks like he's going to be the man that's coming on, but you look at if LMS goes off there, there's been problem with James Graham, there's been problem with Alex Walmsley.
Dear me.
Yeah, sometimes it's obviously you're stunned when you're in that collision, but then when the head hits the ground with the force that LMS's did then, that's just that extra little bump.
Sad to see Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook go off so soon after he'd come on.
Yeah.
The word is that James Graham could be back. I'm not so sure about LMS. And just a word about Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook, because it is his testimonial season, a bit like Liam Farrell. What a rotten season to have your testimonial in.
Yeah, they deserve better, really, don't they? I'm sure the fans and the club will get behind them when we return to normality.
Well, Louis saying that he's still marketing stuff. He's got Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook face masks. Makes the ideal Christmas present, he says. The ball is hoisted, a coat is underneath it. He is an irrepressible character, LMS.
Penalty.
Brilliant take. When he takes that ball, not for a second does he think about his own preservation until the ball is secure. Then he moves, then he spins, and then he's aware of 2 defenders in his face.
That's a cheap penalty, that, isn't it, from Lange? Look, Lachlan Coote's on the ground, he goes to get up. There's a bit of a swinging arm when he goes in. But you've got to be composed, you've got to have a cool head. What goes on between your ears, you've got to make sure if you've got a team down where you want to defend, you can't give a lazy penalty away like that.
Catalan continuing where they left off against Leeds last time out. Steve McNamara's men. Well, it's a playoff semi-final. There's no second chance. They're going to put everything into it.
Yeah, look, you know that your season's over after this. You've got no second chances. There's no next week. You've got to go out there and leave everything on the field. But in that though, you've got to make sure that you play the right players. When you're building up for the
split-second decisions, aren't they? When a bloke is dealt with and then gets it, you can understand. But you're right, he has to control his emotions better. Samisona Lange is a steady player. He's a player who plays the game in the right manner. And he'll be disappointed in himself with that.
But if Catalan Dragons are to cause an upset here, to really upset the Saints and throw them out of the rhythm, they've got to throw everything at them.
They've give 5 penalties away though. That's the part of the game. Steve McNamara and the rest of the Dragons side will say we've got to get rid of that.
It's a very fine line. Kyle Amor is on, another player who's signed up for another stint, new 1-year deal.
I tell you what, Bill, some of these Saints players are suffering. Bentley's gone down or bending over in bad play. You can see how hard the Catalan are hitting. They have actually turned up to do a number defensively on Saints.
Well, they've come all this way. As you say, they're not going to leave the field asking what might have been, but Saints have opened them up here. Nagama will get the ball away to Makinson. Makinson outside Drinkwater has Nagama on his shoulder. Nagama will profit. Nagama will score. And Saints cutting loose and extending their leads. And Christian Wolf sends the signals down, the instructions downstairs, but Kevin Nagama celebrates his 6th try of the campaign. And again, the Catalan indiscipline has cost them.
Well, this is about St Helens holding their nerve, not losing their composure. The crispness of this play, the ability of Saints to wear a tackle, knowing that a defender is rushing towards them, but deliver a pass to a player in a better position than them. Niguama is the man that profits, but I bet Wigan and the Wigan players will be licking the lips at how these two teams are going at each other.
As soon as the play's made and you jam in like Catalan did, the space just opens up for them on the outside, and there's a bit of panic then in Catalan's ranks, and those Saints fans sat at home will be pleased now they've seen the side been challenged in the middle of the park. They've been really good with those collisions, Catalan, but when it comes to a bit of class and comes to a bit of speed, Saints have got it in abundance.
2 from 2 for Coots. This one, pretty straightforward kick for a kicker of his ability. And Catalan, 14-2. They lead now.
If you make the decision to jam in and pull the trigger, you've got to make sure that you get it right. You can see Samisona Lange goes in. As soon as he goes in, then his winger has got to go in David Mead. That leaves the space out wide, and the numbers are there, flooding through for Saints. They have got options, and then Gama and Lomax. But if you pull the trigger and go in, you've got to make sure you defect the tackle.
Right, it's been busy on the sidelines. Lots of coming and going. Let's catch up. Jenna Brooks.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. A huge blow for St Helens. I'm just hearing that James Graham has, in fact, failed his HIA, and he certainly does not look happy.
Well, that is a massive setback on a personal level for James Graham, of course, wanting to bow out on home soil.
You could see the disappointment in his face when the message came on, or when the physio said to him, let's just check it, because you don't always know yourself what's going on with those head assessment.
Well, he'll be hoping there's still a grand final to be involved in. And, of course, General keeping an eye out on the situation with Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook. With James Graham has failed.
Yeah,
he didn't look too bad. Wormsley, of course, with his knee. Saints need to capitalise, really, while they've got the upper hand in this game, and Maloney comes flying in as Lomax gets the kick away, and Lomax didn't like that.
Yeah, the two flyweights were having a push and a shove there, but that's indicative of this first 32, 33 minutes. When Lomax touches the ball, he's got pressure on him, and they're pushing him, making him get up off the ground as often as they can.
It was legitimate. Maloney committed, would you say?
Yeah.
Yes, I would.
Yeah.
His intent is to commit himself.
Lange plays the ball. Baitieri quickly on. More news from the sidelines from Jenna. Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook will not be coming back.
Well, the game plan for Catalan to get up and be aggressive, although the collision with James Graham was by young Jack Welsby, his own teammate.
So here is Tompkins. Whitley spins the ball out. Mead with a little kick infield. And Coots, ever so cool, under pressure. His body's all over the place. There's somebody else down now. I think it's Morgan Knowles just getting to his feet. This is a bruising contest. We haven't even reached halfway yet.
Like you said before, well, Wigan will be sat at home just rubbing their hands thinking, yes, come on, get into it. Oh, sorry, Barry, it was you that said it.
Well, we look the same, don't we?
You don't need to look at me like that. Okay, I do apologise.
Here is Kyle Amor. Up to the fore. Amor smuggles the ball out, and nobody was really waiting for it. Went backwards, says the referee. Catalan might dispute that.
And of course, if you're going to find a silver lining to those injuries on the sideline, James Graham and LMS of a certain age, the younger players, the fitter players, the hungry players for St Helens are on the field at the minute.
I don't think they'll accept that the fitter players are on the field as the kick is too strong.
I think I would back Bentley, Knowles. There you go, he's as fit as a butcher's dog, James Robert.
A pause in proceedings, and it has been a lightning quick first 35 minutes of this game. Saints with the upper hand, 14 points to 2 they lead, but with casualties already. One of them, Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook, just another word on his testimonial. His brochure is titled, "My name is too long."
Like Jamie Jones Buchanan.
Here is Sam Cassiano. Cassiano nonchalantly with the pass, and that was too nonchalant, and Bentley will pick it up.
Never on from Cassiano. I don't think when he passed that, he's just putting his teammate under pressure.
It was Mikel Simon who couldn't take the ball, and then Saints come up with the error.
And Kyle Amor, he just drops the ball cold. And he knows that he's going to have to play longer minutes in this game now.
Jason Baitieri. Catalan just inside Saints territory. They have not as yet threatened the Saints try line. Can they do so before half-time to give themselves a bit of a leg up into the second half? It's De Costa playing the ball. Mikel Simon, Maloney, here is Tompkins. Tompkins to Israel Folau. Folau gets the ball to Tom Davis. Davis cutting back infield. Now he'll try and straighten up, will he? No, he's going side to side. Now he does. He's gone from one wing virtually to the other, Tom Davis. Once at Wigan, he broke his ankle, in fact, on his last Wigan appearance, and it was against St Helens. The ball goes backwards, says the referee. It's still going backwards. Zero, he says. There was a Saints hand in there. This is a golden opportunity for the Catalan Dragons now.
It was James Bentley who was trying to get down on that ball, couldn't regather it.
Can they capitalise? Set restart as well. Suddenly, St Helens are backtracking. They are up against it. And Catalan with plenty of tackles to play with, and only 10 metres from the Dragons' tie line. Maloney, quick ball! Davis couldn't take it. Dipping in front of him, and Saints survive.
Oh, it looked for all money, didn't it? Sam Tompkins, you'd expect him to deliver that pass. But Tom Davis, it's just dipping, it's just too difficult for him. He's probably aware that he's somewhere around that sideline. The disappointment on his face.
Could have been.
Yes. We would have had a ball game on them, wouldn't we, going in at half-time?
Mind you, Lomax and Coote were covering the
I
cross.
think he would have done a decent job to beat Coote and beat Johnny Lomax, the speed that they were covering the ground.
There is Regan Grace. A sigh of relief for Saints. It's the first time their try line has been threatened, I think, in this first 38 minutes.
I'm sure Christian Wolf will agree with you as well. It's going to be a big 40 minutes, I think, in the second half. And if I was Catalan, I'd be kicking early, I'd be kicking long, kicking into corners, and been like what they have been doing, what they're showing when they are defending down here. They've got some whack in them.
Whitley gets a hold of Lomax. That's the 5th tackle. What Catalan don't need is Saints doing what they do so often, and that's posting points with half-time approaching. The kick too strong, though, right down the middle of the field. And Catalan will be happy to see that into the final 60 seconds of the first 40 minutes of this game, and a few more seconds eaten up as referee asks Catalan to tap it again on the 20-metre line. The referee calls held eventually.
Well, no meters made there from Mead. Very hard for them to weave some magic down here now.
Tompkins inside their own 40, and here is Samitoni Langi, and again a risky pass. Don't need that with half-time approaching. Israel Folau was able to react. Baitieri gets the pass away. Now here's Whitley. Whitley beats Bentley. Decides to take the tackle, had Mead outside him, and the hooter sounds. Last play of the game it was. Drinkwater just practicing perhaps, who knows, just practicing. This game still very much in the balance. St Helens might have the advantage at half-time, but big disadvantage in terms of numbers, with James Graham and Lou McCarthy-Scarisbrooke ruled out for the rest of the game, and they are up against a still determined Catalan Dragons side. St Helens ahead, though, 14-2.
Thanks very much, Bill, Barry and Terry. Yes, Louis McCarthy and James Graham will play no further part in this game. Alex Walmsley, you will have seen, get treatment throughout his stint on the field in that first half. 14-2 Lee Briers to St Helens at half-time. I would suggest with those injury news for St Helens, very much game on here.
Yeah, Catalans will be buoyed by that, but let's not make no mistake about it. They can't keep giving penalties. If they keep giving penalties, you know, Saints will finish the game with 15 and win. But if they don't, if they tidy that up, well, it's all on, game on.
Amongst the most noteworthy of those penalties conceded in the first half was the one by James Maloney, which led to his sin binning, and St Helens scoring not long after that. Indiscipline has cost the Catalan Dragons, but they are very much in this second of our Betfred Super League semi-finals. A place in next week's grand final is the prize on offer. It will be a maiden appearance for the Catalan Dragons. They'll need their playmaker and their coach to be at their very best. We got a first half analysis coming up after this.
Champion.
Burrow! Oh, fabulous!
Unstoppable.
Burrow for Britain! Oh, fantastic!
Selfless.
Burrow going for the line! He's done it again!
Brave. A winner.
Relentless.
Inspirational.
Idol. Magic.
Hero.
Rule changing.
This king is all talent!
Yeah, you'll no doubt have your own way of describing one of the greatest ever to play the game, Rob Burrow. The Magnificent Seven, a documentary on his wonderful career, 6:30 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. Sky Sports Arena and Sky Sports main event next Friday, either side of the 2020 Betfred Super League Grand Final. I know the thoughts of everybody in the rugby league world are with Rob and his family at the moment. What a special person, what a special player.
Ultimate competitor. You know, he's going through a tough time, and he's in everybody's thoughts, is Robbo. I love playing against him. He made sure that you needed to bring your A game.
And he's brought it to the biggest stages, of course, which was the grand final. These sides now behind us are contesting the semi-final. It's St. Helens with a 14-2 half-time lead. Let's get straight back to our commentary team. Barry McDermott, Terry O'Connor. Take it away, Bill Arthur.
And immediately news from the Saints camp, because Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook is back out there. Having passed his head injury assessment, the initial verdict was he was unlikely to recover. He is irrepressible, and that is a massive boost for the Saints as the second half starts with them leading by 14 points to 2 over the Catalan Dragons.
It just goes to show, doesn't it? Both players came off the field. You felt like Jammer would be okay. LMS had no chance, and it was the other way around. If I'm a Catalans player now, I'm talking about that middle channel. They haven't got those rotations. We don't know about Alex Walmsley's knee. We definitely know James Graham won't be coming on. So make LMS, Lees, more, make them do more defending than they're comfortable with, knowing at the back end of the game, patience will pay off for the Dragons.
Walmsley is moving pretty fluently up and down the sideline, and Saints are swarming over the Dragons at the start of the second half. Dragons receiving the ball from the kickoff and not able to make much progress in the face of that Saints defence, and Coote claims Maloney's kick and then runs into the tackle of Cassiano and Mikel Simon. Little lash out by Coote. So can Catalan get a foothold in this game? They've had one chance really. That was the pass that Tom Davis couldn't take towards the end of the first half, dipping down by his toes. And really they haven't managed to pierce the Saints defence. McCarthy-Scarsbrook plays the ball. Here is Theophage, here is Bentley. Really tenacious player, James Bentley, once the Bradford Bulls. And Fage hoists that kick. That one has got some height on it, doesn't travel as far, and it is claimed by the Saints. Nakama is chasing it, and Nakama will top the ball down, and that is a real opportunist try if it is awarded. The ball was nudged forward by Makinson.
We have a try.
Liam Moore reckons it's a try, and it could be a try, second of the game for Kevin Nagama.
Isn't it quick thinking by Johnny Lomax? You can see when this ball goes high, from Theophage, they're all okay on the right-hand side. On the top of the screen, they're okay. On the left-hand side, a couple of them were stood in front, and Tompkins, he just seems to pull out on that.
Is it Kyle Airmore on the other side of the play, the ball that they might be looking at?
They'll just check now whether Lachlan Coote is onside here and he gets the ball. You can see when the ball goes up, it's a monster kick from Theophage. Lachlan Coote is onside, and so is Kevin Nagama. So both of those players are onside now, either side of Theophage. They both get on the bike, they're both going for it. They're going to try and put some pressure on Sam Tompkins. You can see Sam Tompkins just look up, then he pulls out, and those players for me are onside. And then you look at the skill here from Coote to realise that Sam Tompkins is the man who is going to try and get the tackle in on Coote. And does he get this ball to the boot nice and clean? And when he got the ball, and when he goes to kick the ball, they're all onside again. And you think that when they're in this position, they're not going to blow the opportunity, and Makinson and Nagama over on the right-hand side, they cause trouble constantly for teams in Super League.
That's outstanding work by St. Helens. Is there anything Lachlan Coote can't do?
Video ref analysis forensically conducted by Ben Thaler. The try is awarded. It's Saints who make the good start to the second half. Nagama's second of the game, courtesy of some great quick thinking from Tommy Makinson to just nudge that ball forward. Didn't put too much on it. and Nagama was able to get there.
You're right, Bill. It was a shallow kick. Everybody was deep, expecting it to go into the pocket, into the corner. Lachlan Coote chased hard, caught it on the full, and as soon as he caught it, he saw the open space because those defenders that were deep had rushed forward to collect that ball. Wonderful play by the fullback, and that finish. He needed to be in the right place, but Nagama gets the first points of the second half.
Coote 3 from 3, and a try creator as well, and that is a massive blow for the Catalan Dragons, who were looking for a positive start to the second half. Instead, they've conceded 4 more points as Coote hits the uprights. But 18-2 the scoreline. Let's go down to get some half-time news and more from Jenna Brooks.
Thanks, Bill. Christian Wolf called it a good half of footy. He said that they did some pretty good things, defended well. They just need to recreate that again in this second half. I asked specifically about Alex Walmsley. I was told that he is fine and there's absolutely no worries there. I'm getting a lot of questions about James Graham and the fact that he failed his HIA. And does that mean that he's out of the grand final? No, it doesn't, and that is, of course, should St Helens progress. It doesn't mean that he'll have further tests through the week. Steve McNamara said that he told the boys not to let the scoreboard build pressure in this second half. He said they need to play for the full 40 minutes, not try and win it in the first 10 to 15 minutes.
Well, they've got some work to do. 18-2 they trail. Thank you, Jenna. And the problem that Saints have got is, again, the tackles come in thick and fast, and Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook is in the middle of it. The problem that Catalan have got is that they just cannot find a way of getting past the Saints' defence. They can't even, apart from that one opportunity.
That may tell later at the end of the match. May tell with that lack of rotation, at least James Graham and potentially Alex Walmsley.
The kick from Coots finds touch.
He's under kick pressure again, isn't he? Catalan Dragons working hard, making sure that when he puts that kick in, he's getting up off the floor again. Looks like they've changed their targets. They've changed from Johnny Lomax to Lachlan Coote.
Some heavy strapping on Tommy Makinson as well in this second half on his left thigh. It's been a real good old tough encounter for both of these sides.
Saints not wanting to let this slip. They let the league leadership slip and allowed Wigan to claim that in the closing week of the season. This an opportunity to defend their title, not at Old Trafford, but the KCOM Stadium in Hull.
21 days ago that match was built. 3 solid weeks of thinking about it, working on that plan, churning it over in your mind, thinking how you can improve.
Well, they've improved tonight. They have been rock solid defensively. Maloney, Lomax and Zeptea all over him. Alrix da Costa. Here is Israel Folau. That's the 5th tackle, and they're still just inside the Catalan 30. Maloney hoists that kick. There are challenges there for it, but Makinson it is who comes up with it. Thigh strapping or not, he was going to get there first.
Well, that's what you want off one of your senior players, isn't it? Just to command that ball and just push Theo Fies out the way, knowing that Sam Cassiano was in and around the vicinity where he was going to be catching the ball. Look at this. Doesn't even worry about a Catalan player in front of him.
Wigan await in that grand final, having booked their place with their victory over Hull FC last night. And it looks like it will be a reunion of the near neighbours in the grand final. That's the 5th tackle. Saints just inside their own half. And Coote is clubbing again, and it's Garcia who gets a hold of him, and Coote has taken some hammer, and Baitieri meanwhile as play continues. Baitieri and Coote having a little square up, and Lachlan Coote gets up, dusts himself down and is ready for more, because he is one tough cookie.
Well, he's got a marker on him, hasn't he? It's Garcia that hits him, and you can see that any time that they're going to kick the ball, and like Barry said, the previous time it was Cassiano that leaves him on the ground. You've got to be brave if you're taking control on that last play, and he's certainly that.
They are allowed to tackle him though. It looks heavy, it's full-blooded, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
That's what you'd expect in a playoff semi-final. There's a grand final place at stake. Here is Israel Folau.
I thought they would have given earlier ball, Israel Folau, and let him test out against young Jack Welsby. Go on a long play, long shift over to this right-hand side. Matty Lee's now going hunting.
By Thierry, that's the 5th tackle. The ball reaches Maloney. Maloney. High kick. The ball is batted back. It's still with the Catalan Dragons. And the ball is going to reach Tom Davies, who went forward, says the referee.
Well, when that kick went up, Bill, every single player from the Catalan side chased and chased hard. Look at them in the starting blocks. When they get this ball back, it probably, if you want it to land in anybody's hands, that's not Mikel Simon's strength, a left to right pass. But good signs for the Catalan Dragons. They'll look up for it. 18-2 on the scoreboard. The message from Jenna Brooks on the sideline from Steve McNamara is don't look at the scoreboard. Don't let that put pressure on us.
Words of advice from a very experienced coach, Steve McNamara, looking to take the Dragons into their first ever grand final in 15 years as a Super League club. Attempting to succeed where Kevin Walters in a semi-final in 2009 at Leeds and Laurent Fraisenou failed here in 2014. But at the moment, as the set restart hooter sounds, it's the Saints who are marching cross-country to the KCOM Stadium at the moment. Still a long way to go in this game.
And they know they've got to do some hard work as well, and James Roby is commanding the players around him here, springing the forwards, off the ruck, nice run-out carries, and just trying to settle the game down.
And pointing, making sure everybody knows where Big Sam Cassiano is.
That's the 5th tackle as McCarthy Scarsbrook is brought down. Maloney is certainly putting himself about. Farge with the kick, he's in there again, Maloney, angry man. Tompkins claims it, can't take the ball, Saints will have it. And they are only 20 metres away from the Catalan Dragons line. Sam Tompkins came for that ball decisively, but his catch wasn't so decisive. Pressure was on him.
I think it was from young Jack Welsby, that Bill.
So Saints with Kyle Amor. Paul Seguier out there, 21 for the Catalan Dragons, the young Frenchman getting a big chance tonight. Roby's pass, Lomax, Garcia trying to get hold of him, it is in the end Alrix da Costa who makes the tackle. Farge, lovely ball, and Coots is in! What a lovely touch! Zeptea was it! What a touch! And Coots with the try. And he is all smiles. What a player he is. He was flattened a few moments ago in the other end of the pitch. And there he is, popping up to claim another St Helens try and to put them further out of reach of the Dragons.
Well, Tompkins makes a mistake here. Close to the line, under pressure from the youngster, Jack Welsby. They get the ball back 20 metres from the line. And it's that man on the floor, Zeptea. Just have a little look at that for a pass. There's no panic. We've seen this play a number of times from Saints. Everyone knows what they're going to do, but they still manage to get you. And Ben Garcia, well, he's the man who just switched off, and that gap opened up for Lachlan Coote. They've got a good combination, these two players, and that's a pass under pressure from Maloney.
It's about practice, that play, isn't it? Theo Farge knows that if he commits defenders, Zeptea, skill factor 10 out of 10, can just force it or push it into the path of the most impressive player on the field this evening, Lachlan Coote.
In the points again against the Catalan Dragons. 3 from 4, 2 tries now. And matching his performance against the Dragons in August when he got 18 points from 2 tries and 5 goals. And there is another one to his name. And 24 points to 2 the reigning champions lead.
Well, Bill, you mentioned that game in August. I'm pretty sure they scored a similar try. I think it was the 2nd of August, where the fullback stayed inside his back rower, and there was just a nice volleyball tap on into space. And there's a bit of relief there in the houses of St Helens fans. It's not over yet. 52 minutes on the clock. And Catalan, if they can string some players together, can get over that try line. But Christian Wolff's side, well, defensively, it doesn't always tell you the full story, but defensively, they've only missed 4 tackles in 52 minutes.
That's a pretty impressive effort. Phil Clark has had a pretty good view of that Saints defensive effort. We can hear from Phil now.
Well, you talk about the importance of a kicking game in this sport of rugby league, but what's more important, I think, than the kick is the chase. Jack Welsby is the reason why I think St Helens have just won the try that puts them through to the grand final. Chasing, competing, contesting for that ball in the air was the determining factor in the reason why St Helens have scored that try, now give themselves a 22-point lead. He's been outstanding against Israel Folau in this centre position.
Thanks, Phil. Saints 30-metre line with Zeb Taia. He's leaving the club at the end of this season. He's given good service to Saints, just as he did for the Catalan Dragons.
What a player he's been during his time in this country. Wonderful athlete. He looks as fit and durable as anybody on the field. Clearly bowing out under his own steam, isn't it?
Time of change at Saints at the end of this season. How will the season end for these players who are leaving? Zeb Taia, James Graham.
Dompero.
Yeah, he's going to Toulouse.
Yeah. But they've got some wonderful players. James Bentley, Morgan Knowles.
Tackle was completed, says the referee. Samisoni Langi playing the ball. Bousquet up to the halfway line for the Catalan Dragons. 4th tackle. Here is Maloney to Tompkins to Tom Davis. Davis now. But he's
been
marshalled.
Solid. They've been absolutely solid, haven't they? And the scoreboard suggests the scoreboard suggests that as well.
Maloney gets the kick away, and Coote claims it just outside his own in-goal area, and then gets the pass away to Makinson, and Makinson away from the first challenge, but Langi brings him down and then contests for the ball. Here is Bentley now. Always see John Bateman. When you see John Bateman, something of the character as well. Really competitive.
I said it in the first half, it's that will to compete, refusal to give in. You love to see it in young players.
And Bradford Bulls link for the two of them. And Bentley, of course, on his way back to Super League. Bateman, I beg your pardon. Coote. Oh, lovely work from Welsby. Lovely work from Welsby. Johnny Lomax will get his first try of the season, courtesy of great build-up work. Coote involved, Welsby involved, and it's Lomax who finishes first try of the campaign for him, his first official try in Super League. He got 2 against Toronto in February, and of course those were scratched off when Toronto fell out of the competition, and that surely now puts the game beyond the reach of the Catalan Dragons.
All class, this try. This is St Helens in action. Doesn't he do well? Jack Welsby. Lachlan Clout again providing the pass. He holds up, and Tom Davis with a little bit of attention on the speedster Regan Grace. Doesn't want to give too much space to Regan Grace. Leaves himself flat-footed. It's perfectly assessed by Welsby, and look who's in support. Johnny Lomax.
This is like a carbon copy of the game last night. Both of the teams that look like they're heading for the final. Wigan are already there, but Saints not conceded a try and scoring plenty. And the way that they're scoring points, and let's not forget they've had their injuries, but the players keep putting their hands up, keep turning up, and led by Johnny Lomax, Lachlan Coote and James Roby.
Coote 4 from 5. And makes it all the more tougher for the Catalan Dragons.
No, they've been good for years, haven't they, Saints? And you could go back to the early 90s, and some sad news coming out from them last week was former Saints chairman Tom Allard, who passed away on the Saints board for a couple of decades, and he was actually my school teacher at junior school. Came me a few times, and came me a few times. Tried to sign me for Saints as well, but obviously stuck their name in McManus. Well, he never tried to sign me, I'll tell you that. But he was responsible, Tom Allard, for signing the likes of Kieran Cunningham, Gary Connolly, Paul Wellens, Chris Joynt and Paul Newlove.
There's a good reason Eamon McManus never tried to sign you, Tez.
Yeah, obviously missed out, didn't he?
Yeah. Begins with R and ends in Ubish.
Don't run in, boys!
Well, the Catalan Dragons frustrated,
Boys!
and
Don't run in!
that's boiling over now.
Don't run in!
Well, again, we saw it last night, didn't we, Bill? When Hull FC and Wigan met.
Don't run in, boys!
And obviously a lot at stake, and more at stake for the Saints players, not to really get involved with the final.
I think it's David Mead at the bottom of all that. He's an aggressive player, David Mead.
Take your boys over there.
PNG international, LMS, who carries the ball forward, cops one round the neck. Just drink water. Again, a bit too physical.
Take your boys over there. No, I'll speak to you. Yeah.
And then the ball becomes irrelevant.
Boys.
And you know what, it's not, when people see this, it's not a good look for the sport when everyone comes running in. But what I can tell you as a player who's been whacked round the chops, and when you're standing in the middle of that, you don't want anyone to really get at your teammate. You don't want to be dominated by the opposition. But you're going full on here. You're playing in the semi-final to get to the grand final. You're never going to back down.
Well, the referee is just taking advice from his fellow match officials, including video ref Ben Thaler. And
I think he's gone in hard, Mead. He's gone in hard. I don't think it's worth a yellow.
Penalty. Oh, do you?
I don't think it's worth a yellow, Bill.
Don't.
Sorry. No.
No, it's a penalty.
I think it's a penalty,
Saints.
and let's crack on. Everyone settle down.
Yeah. Okay, man. Captains, boys, please.
And he's going to call over Remy Casti and James Roby for a word.
Right, boys. Yeah, we've got the high tackle. That's the penalty now. You've had a couple of high tackles in this game, so you've got to manage that.
Just a couple.
Okay? What we can't have is players from both teams running in, albeit they're not throwing punches, but they're running in and aggravating the situation. As captains, you need to sort it out. Otherwise, semi-final or no semi-final, people are going to get sat down. Okay? So get the message to your lads. That's the penalty. Yes, mate.
Well, that's firm and fair from the referee.
And that little break in play by the referee was well handled, because it just takes the sting out of it. There's a bit of sting in that, to be fair, from Mead on LMS.
But it's a fairly routine high tackle, isn't it?
Yes.
I'm sure Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook would dispute that. He was on the receiving end of it, but
I always look for this next one, who's going to carry the ball, Bill. Was it Peru?
it is Dom Peru, and now it's Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook, and they're there to meet him. Matt Whitley, Billingeborn just over the hill, or on the hill. Here's Zebtea, that's good work. Israel Folau flattening Zebtea. Catalan still showing plenty of desire, even though they are 30 points to 2 behind.
Well, Garcia screaming at young Jack Wellesby when he was on the ground then.
Fifth tackle, high kick. Mead is underneath it. Mead misses it, but there was an infringement. Nagama went for him while he was in the air.
Wasn't this a few times, Nagama, over the season? No, over the season. But it's just what he's trying to do. He's just get in his eye line. It's the nudge in the air, what he's been penalised for. We've seen him a few times this year where he run past the man who's going to catch the ball, and that's enough sometimes just to put him off.
Who will be the man of steel in this difficult Super League 2020 campaign. You can find out the Super League awards on Monday evening, 5:30, Sky Sports Mix. Join Brian Carney for that. It's on again at 10 o'clock, Mix and Sky Sports Arena, to find out the awards winners. And an award winner for courage and inspiration and defiance goes to Rob Burrows-Shawley, and the Magnificent Seven is the story of his career. 6:30 next Friday and 10 o'clock either side of the Super League Grand Final. Here come the Catalan Dragons with Matt Whitley. Can the Dragons come up with more points than just the penalty they slotted over early on in this game? Because 29-2 was the scoreline last night between Wigan and Hull. It's 30 points to 2 here in favour of St Helens. Neither Hull nor, so far, the Catalan Dragons able to post a try. But Davis will try and go for that ball. He just manages to bundle it over the try line. I think it came off Davis, but that's what Liam Moore reckons. He just wants Ben Thaler to confirm that.
Well, Liam Moore just asking for some help from the video referee. And Davis, he's looking to get the ball. Yeah.
When you watch that, it's correct call, isn't it, from Liam Moore? I think he's handled this game really well at times. It's been aggressive, it's boiling. Hasn't quite boiled over. We've seen a bit of pushing and shoving.
Really for the full game, hasn't it?
Well, that's at times.
Just the one sin binning, in fact, of Maloney. This is St Helens' 50th Super League playoff game. Remarkable record of consistency.
St Helens are up against it here. I've been on both sides of the scoreline here in this potentially last game of the year. You've nothing to lose. The Catalan players.
There we go, there again. Benjamin Garcia said before that when he was involved with the tackle with Israel Folau on young Jack Wellsby, he was over the top and he was screaming in the youngster's face. Now, whatever ban, if there is any players that leave the field tonight, whatever ban that they may receive will carry over for next year. So even it's equally important for Catalan to be, even if this game has gone, just to make sure that they're okay. And you can just see that they're coming together from all the team. And Ben Garcia, he hits, I think it was Johnny Lomax.
Yeah, but they've done that all evening, haven't they? Johnny Lomax, Lachlan Coote. They've made sure that they've had to get up off the floor. It's probably Johnny Lomax has thought to himself, I've had enough of this.
I think, do you know, when you look at what's been going on over the last 5 or 10 minutes, I think that the referee might just say, look, we're going to send out a message and you're going to have to sit down 10 minutes in the bench.
Well, that's what he said. The last coming together over the other side of the field, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He warned both captains.
About discipline. Then Ben, he's off the ball, contact with the head, sin bin.
And he's a man of his words, is Liam Moore. And Ben Garcia, who has been treading a very fine line
I spoke to you, boys. I'm not
in
going
the
to keep
second half as
talking.
the Dragons' frustration mounts. Sees yellow and becomes the second Catalan Dragons player to go into the sin bin in this game, which has drifted away from Steve McNamara's men.
Well, he would have knew coming into this game, he needed to be on the right side of the penalty count, and they're on the wrong side. And like you said, two players that they've sat down either half for 10 minutes. Makes it so much harder. And here's Walmsley back on the field.
Busquet and Moa just as committed as ever in defence there. Here is Dom Peyrou now, hoping his last St Helens appearance will be in the grand final before he joins the French club. Here's Roby running, gets the ball away for Bentley, and Bentley gets a well-deserved try to put Saints further ahead, and Saints on the road to the grand final once again. And it was the old stager James Roby in his 32nd playoff game who handed that one on a plate to James Bentley in his playoff debut. And again, the Catalan Dragons in discipline comes back to bite them.
Well, everyone knows you've got to stop James Roby, but James Roby just plays off the back of penalties like this. 10 minutes in the sin bin for Garcia for that shot on Johnny Lomax, gifting them that field position. They march them upfield, look at that. You've got Samoa flying out the line. Players just trying to get him. You know you've got to slow the play the ball down when James Roby's on the field. He has been doing this for years. You can't hurt him. He's like granite, and he's also got a really good rugby brain. And anyone that's ever played against James Roby knows what they're up against. And Bentley knows that playing with someone that I'm sure he would have idolised him as a youngster just gets on the end of that pass. And those Saints fans now know that they're going to be watching their team in the grand final, and good support as well for Rob Burrow in the top left screen from the Saints fans.
5 from 6 for Coots. Bentley getting his second try of the season against the Catalan Dragons. He got one in August in the 34 points to 6 win. It's 36 points to 2 to the Saints now on their way to the grand final. Meanwhile, let's get some Catalan Dragons news from Jeddah.
Sam Cassiano, I've been told, has passed his HIA, but he will not be returning because he has a hamstring injury.
He's got a headache. Another look at things, as the Catalan Dragons have. Steve McNamara hoping that his side could, as they did against Leeds last week, defy expectations. But they really haven't been able to rattle the Saints tonight. They have tried hard, but Saints have just been rock solid.
I talked about the patience that Catalan needed to show. Well, the patience has been on show for St Helens. Classic St Helens try. Flat and fast, with players flooding through. There's a knock on there. Is it Big Al, who's dealt with, picked up and slammed down like he was in the first couple of minutes.
And he's hobbling again.
Yeah,
he's
like
just holding that right knee.
Yeah.
Oh dear, they don't want to see that.
No, there's something wrong with the bumblebee there. Christian Wolff, if he has the option available, might think, I need to get the big fella off.
Surely.
Yeah.
Surely. The grand final a week away. They're through to it.
Those gnarly front rowers, Ben, they
Kyle
don't
Amor,
like to come off.
Amor has come out the dugout. Surely they're going to get Amor on. There he is, the Cumbrian front rower, Kyle Amor. Now then, can the Catalan Dragons at least find a way through this Saints defence? Makinson comes across, and there's a penalty there to the Catalan Dragons.
I think it was Alex Walmsley stood in an offside position, was he?
All smiles out there.
Sam, you should be a ref, you miss your train.
I don't know if you heard that from Liam Moore. Sam, you should be a ref. Well, this is an opportunity for the Catalan Dragons. Here is Julien Bousquet, approaching 200 appearances for the Dragons. Tompkins now. Tompkins pass away to Maloney. Maloney to Paul Seguier. Didn't get on against Leeds last week when he was on the bench. Tompkins. Here is Samoa, another one of the experienced playoff players. Tompkins trying to accelerate, but just runs into the defenders. Walmsley cooked, Bentley there. 3 tackles gone. Maloney over the top, and it's Kev Nagama who'll get it, and Kev Nagama is away. Nobody will catch him. Davis is trying to close him down. Davis might get there, he won't. Nagama will get his hat-trick under the posts. He's got virtually the length of the field. Jubilation from the Saints. They are on their way to the grand final, and they have left the Catalan Dragons trailing in their wake tonight, as Nagama dead with that intercept try. And Kev Nagama, the Fijian captain, showing great turn of pace there to get his 8th try of the season with his hat-trick tonight.
He looks comfortable while he's in full flight, but he's not comfortable because he's outnumbered. He knows he has to push up, get himself in the attacking line as a defender. He ends up being in the right place at the right time, lifts his arm up and plucks the ball out of the air. Wonderful catch. And you can see in his face, the minute he pouches that ball, tucks it under his arm, good running style. You can obviously feel the presence of one of the fastest men on the field, Tom Davis, but he can't stop the Fijian. He scores right under the H's, and that's it, that's the grand final.
Well, they have been clinical in this game. And like you say about it, he comes in, he tries to solve the problem, knowing that they're outnumbered. And he knows that they're going to throw the ball. He knows that they're running out of time and they need to get over the try line. The game's gone, but Catalan is still pushing the pass through Maloney and the speed.
Coote will be annoyed with himself. The one miss hit the upright, 6 from 7. And he has contributed mightily to this Saints performance with his tries, his goal kicking, his defence. And Kevin Agama has contributed as well. His first hat-trick of the season. Here it is.
This has been a professional performance from Kevin Agama and his side. The hat-trick that he scored in this, Lachlan Coote, that is a fabulous, fabulous backline for Saints, isn't it? All of them have got speed. All of them have got power, bringing the ball away from the try line. They all know how to finish, and those Saints fans going into the grand final, yeah, it's going to be played at Hull, but they won't be bothered where the grand final's played at, as long as they beat their nearest and dearest, the Wigan Warriors. What a game we've got next Friday.
Yep, Saints looking in terrific form ahead of this, but they will be worried about that sight as Alex Walmsley is patched up, strapped up, having battled through this game with that knee problem. James Graham unable to play much part in the game, having sustained a head injury early on, much to his frustration. He'll be hoping that he's able to bow out with a grand final appearance next week. Saints might not have finished yet. Here's Nagama once more. Nagama's pass. They can't quite keep that ball in. Can they?
I think it went forward, didn't it? When he stops it going over the sideline, when he bounces it back inside the Saints play, I think it goes forward. You can allow them a little bit of expression now, the Saints side. Tommy Makinson, whilst he's trying to keep it in the field of play, just pushes it forward. Catalan Dragons with a bit of possession. Well, just that solitary 2 points, just that goal kick for them on the scoreboard. Will they manage to trouble the try line and the scoreboard attendant?
So no repeat of 2018 and that unforgettable Cup semi-final when the Catalan Dragons caused a major upset by beating St Helens and went on to beat Warrington at Wembley, of course. Collected the first silverware of their trophy. They were hoping that tonight would be another night of glory, that they would get through to their first ever grand final. Not to be. There really has never been any prospect of that. St Helens have been absolutely just
smothering.
Smothering is the word.
Yeah, smothering. Defensively, got up quick. Obviously, we talked about discipline a number of times, but those 7 penalties that Catalan have given away have resulted in 2 sin bins. Playoff games are hard enough without trying to play 20 minutes with 12 men.
Relentless would probably be the word, because they've just not let up defensively on attack. And Grace has fielded that ball, and it's wide open for Regan Grace, and they won't catch him. Tompkins is chasing, but Regan Grace has got the pace, and Regan Grace will round off this comprehensive St Helens victory with another length of the field try. It was Nagama a moment ago, it's Regan Grace now, and Christian Wolf's men are now cruising towards the grand final. Catalan protest, thinking that Liam Grant might have gone to the video ref, but no chance of that. 46-2.
Well, absolutely outstanding from Saints again. They had to deal with this kick here, and what Catalan was saying, that they thought Israel Folau was taken out by the youngster Jack Wellesby. Well, Regan Grace wasn't waiting around to listen to the whistle from the referee. As soon as he catches that ball, he's in attack mode. He looks up, he sees a clear field in front of him, and he's just going. And you would say...
this is what they're angry about.
Yeah. Jack Wellesby, well, does he run in front of the path of Israel Folau?
I don't think he does.
I'm not so sure.
I don't think he does.
But he wasn't waiting around, was he? This has been an outstanding performance from Saints. They went into this game losing the last 2 games. They were under some pressure. Like, what would their season have looked like? They didn't lift the League Leaders' Shield, they didn't get to the Challenge Cup final. If they didn't get to the Grand Final, it would have been seen as a failure when we've been talking about them all year.
And Coote will take him nearer the 50-point mark after Regan Grace gets his first try for 3 games. He got 8 tries in 6 games in September, October, none since. Well, that's a great way to get back on the scoring trail. And Christian Wolff, well, he has got plenty to smile about. He's got plenty to think about now as he prepares to meet Wigan Warriors in the Grand Final, having lost big style.
Absolutely,
bigly
absolutely.
to Wigan last meeting.
21 days ago, Wigan went on to lift the League Leaders' Shield. Subsequently, they're the first through to that Grand Final. But Bill, I could not be more impressed with this St Helens side. That entire back line, Coote, Makinson, Nguama with those 3 tries, Jack Welsby facing Israel Folau, the rugby icon Israel Folau. Well, he's had him in his back pocket, Jack Wells. He's defended him out of the game.
Makinson in touch. Can Catalan at least get a try to their name here tonight?
Well, what will be going through Saints' mind here is, look, we've done a decent job for 75 minutes. We don't want to concede a try. We don't want to show any weakness to the opposition that we're going to be facing next week. And they'll be working extra hard in the final 5 minutes.
Here is Casti. Amor goes high, gets the penalty. Acknowledges that.
And showing a bit of aggression themselves now, Saints. Swinging arms from a few of them.
So here's Maloney. Paul Seguier had a good game against Salford when Catalan showed their Jekyll and Hyde side. They raced into a 26-4 lead, I think it was, and then blew up in the second half. Seguier was good that night, given his chance by Steve McNamara. Quick hands, and Samisoni Langi does well to take the pass under pressure. Catalan defiant to the end, looking at least to get a try on the board here. Alrix da Costa, Sam Moa, but Moa leg drive, but equalled by the effort from the Saints defenders. They want to keep it to 2 points to that Maloney penalty early on. Here is Maloney. Here is Israel Folau. Folau for Davis. Davis, but Regan Grace makes the tackle on the former Wigan man. Folau, 4 tackles gone. Drinkwater. Maloney. Samoa. Good work from Peru.
That tackle is complete, though. Samoa will need to play it.
On the last, Maloney. Here is Tompkins. Tompkins' little grubber kick. The ball is still loose, and that'll be the turnover. Wasn't played at. Tompkins protesting.
What a defensive shift from St Helens, stretched from one side to the other. The defenders all intact, all in sync, all in line. It's been a phenomenal performance from St Helens, 48-2 on the scoreboard, but it's been a resounding victory for the St Helens side. Obviously, you get distracted with Nguama, who scored 3 tries, but the most influential player on the field, and therefore the Betfred man of the match, for me, is Lachlan Coote.
It'll be the 4th Wigan Saints Grand Final coming up. And in the history of that, 2000 Saints won 29-16. 2010 Wigan were victors 22-10, and 2014 Saints 14-6. They are on their way to their biggest playoff win 50 since 2000, when they won 54 points to 16 at Wigan. Ring a bell?
Yeah, I think Brian Carney played there. He had an absolute shocker.
Yeah, well, that's a long list.
About 6 or 7.
That's a long list, is that one?
Do you know what I will say on that?
Actually, Ian Proctor has picked you up on that lightning quick, because Brian Carney was at Hull then. You were there.
No, he was on loan at Wigan. He was on loan at Wigan, actually. So you can tell Ian Proctor to just get his facts right.
Ooh, that is a gauntlet thrown down. That is on a par with some of the tackles we've seen out there tonight. Here is Maloney.
Look at this defence from Saints.
This is presumably this is the mood they need to be in.
Yes.
sustain this mood, because Tompkins has put the kick in and it's fielded by Theo Fage, and here's Makinson and he wants a try. He's seen Nagama go, he's seen Regan Grace now. Tommy Makinson's going to have a run.
Even that desperation to get to the kick then from Theo Fage, and I know Barry's quite rightly talked about the outside backs and the star players that he's seen and witnessed who've scored the tries, but I think the forwards for Saints have done an amazing job as well. They've had an awful lot to contend with those big six in the middle of the field from Catalan, flying out the line, looking to put shots on them, knocking them into next week.
Let's hope James Graham, and he's smiling. Christian Wolf comes downstairs. Let's hope James Graham is okay to take his part next week. What a night that's going to be. Sean O'Loughlin bowing out, James Graham bowing out, both of them wanting to end their career on a high in the season decider, the big game of the season. Next Friday night at the KCOM Stadium in Hull. St Helens are there. St Helens are emphatically there. They have weathered the storm that arrived from Perpignan in the shape of the Catalan Dragons, and it was stormy at times. Catalan giving their all, but Saints were too strong, too good, and defensively too solid and powerful. There'll be some bruised and weary bodies tonight. This has been, despite the fact it's an emphatic scoreline for the Saints, the Catalan Dragons have made them work for every one of those points, and they'll have the bruises to show it. Steve McNamara, Alex Chan alongside him. The end of a long, tough season for them. As we said at the start, they have made 10 cross-channel flights in the past 16 weeks. Bernard Gouache, the loyal, the committed chairman, disappointed. He has backed his side all the way, but they've come up short tonight. And it's Saints who are going once again to the grand final, a 12th grand final, a record 12th grand final, and awaiting them there, the Wigan Warriors. 48 points to 2, the Saints have won.
Thanks very much, Bill, Barry and Terry. Lee Breer's our guest here tonight on Sky Sports. It's hard to imagine going into a grand final on the back of a more clinical semi-final performance that Saints have just produced.
Yeah, you've just hit the nail on the head. Clinical, executed game plan, thoroughly professional. And you know, you might think, oh, it was an easy game that to go into a grand final, but they were tough as well. They were tough because Catalan come with some, but in the end, just far too good.
What most about St Helens impressed you tonight?
I think the toughness on, you know, to keep calm. Catalans come with a disruptive game plan. Saints kept nice and calm, and on the back of it, executed. When you've got the likes of Roby, Coote, Theo Fage and Lomax, world-class players.
Let's hear from calmness personified on a rugby league field. Man of the match is with Jenna Brooks. It's Lachlan Coote.
Lachlan Coote, back-to-back grand finals for St Helens. How proud are you of your team?
Very proud of the boys' effort. You know, obviously, a couple of weeks ago we come into a loss there, and we were pretty filthy about it. And I think the 2 weeks off has really helped us. We sort of lifted the intensity going through training, and you know, it showed out here tonight from the boys, and massive effort from the middles there.
Before this game, you had scored an average of 11 points per game. I mean, that is no mean feat. You're a contender for Man of the Steel. How would you rate your season so far?
Yeah, fairly happy with it. You know, I can't complain about too much, but yeah, just I think with the goal kicking and everything, it's been a real focus of mine this year. I think obviously last year I sort of got handed it to me after a few years, but you know, I think just yeah, with the form thing, I think it's due to the boys that I'm playing out the back of, and the quality service that I'm getting off Tio and Johnny Lomax there.
And to keep Catalan tryless tonight, I mean, that's a huge statement heading into the grand final.
Yeah, well, I think obviously them having man down there a couple of times there really helped us, I think. But you know, it's going to be nothing like next week. It's going to be a test, and you know, Wigan they're full of confidence at the moment, and it's going to be a great grand final. And
have we seen the best of St Helens yet?
Oh, hopefully not. Hopefully we can turn up again next week and show what we've got again.
Well, the team scored 6 second-half tries. What exactly was your coach's message at half-time?
It was just obviously stick to what we've done in the first half, getting to our kicks, completing, and in big games like this, possession plays a massive part, and that's all we had to do is get to our kicks, get to the end of our sets, and we knew we just had to defend them out.
Well, Lachlan Coote, you are the Betfred Man of the Match. Congratulations.
Thank you. Cheers, thank you very much.
We'll bring in your head coach now, Christian Wolf. I've never seen him so happy. Christian, St Helens are through to a record 12th grand final. Your game plan tonight was flawless.
Oh, look, they played outstanding. I was really happy with the way we attacked. I thought our halves, and obviously Lachlan, you gave him man of the match, and he was very good. And I thought they controlled the game really well, and then we backed up with really good defence. So really happy with them.
It did come at a little bit of a cost. Alex Walmsley, I know, has a knee injury. How serious is it?
Oh, look, we don't think it's serious at all, actually. It was just bothering him a little bit, and obviously being on top in the game and having the opportunity to bring him off, we thought it was a smart thing to do. So he'll be right for next week.
And James Graham failed an HIA. I've been a lot of questions coming in about what that means for next week. I understand that there'll be just further tests, but you're confident he'll play?
Look, I haven't spoken to him or the doc yet, but he has got like 7 days means that he can play, provided he comes through the protocol through the week. So hopefully, it's obviously great to be able to get him to a grand final, and I'd love to see him there next week, that's for sure.
Yeah, we all would. Now listen, a week to go until Wigan. Talk me through what happens over the next 7 days. Does the mood change? How does preparation change?
Look, I think we've got to enjoy it, to be honest. We need to enjoy tonight first, and relax a little bit over the next couple of days. And it's a great week. Being involved in finals is good fun, and being involved in a grand final is even more good fun. And we just got to really relax and enjoy it. And I know they'll be at their best, and you've seen what they can do tonight, and we'll give ourselves a real go. We'll
see you at the KCOM a week today.
No worries, thank you. Thanks, eh?
I cannot wait for that. 3 weeks ago, they gave us one of the great games in this 2020 Betfred Super League season when St Helens and Wigan clashed here at the Totally Wicked Stadium. Saints will meet the Warriors again. That's thanks to this 48-2 win over the Catalan Dragons. 8 tries for St Helens, equally as impressive, keeping the Catalan Dragons from crossing the line. You're telling me that if there's a charity boxing match between coaches next year in the Super League, you'd like to take on Christian Wolf?
You are kidding. Seen him though.
Yeah, well,
he meant to be happy then.
Well, I think it was the happiest we've seen him.
That was the most effusive he's been all season about his team. He said they were outstanding. I mean, that's high praise, I think, from what looks like a fairly serious taskmaster.
Yeah, to be fair, I think he does a lot of wrestling and that M&A. So you can actually tell with his team though, they are super aggressive, but in the right manner.
Okay, he thinks he thinks James Graham is going to be okay. Let's just have a look at this Alex Walmsley injury. This played up a couple of times on the stints he had on the field, John.
Yeah, we thought it happened a couple of times in the first half, and we were saying, oh, maybe that's a cramp or something like that, because the physio ran on and had a bit of a tweak and a mess around with the lower leg. But there's obviously an issue there that's needed repeated attention. You'll see some strapping there just below the knee, and that's very often to stop the patella from subluxing, I guess is that the medical term for it, Brian. Well, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but you know, that he looks at that might be a bit of a...
Did look a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, and maybe a hangover, I think, leading into next week.
Okay, James Graham there in the foreground. He's expected to play, and of course, Louis McCarthy did, of course, pass his HIA. Let's hear from Steve McNamara, coach of the beaten Catalan Dragons, who promised us pre-game he had plenty to say on those suspensions for McIllorum and Joel Tompkins. He's with Jenna. Steve, in the end, was it discipline that cost you?
Oh, look, it's really disappointing to finish on the scoreboard. You know, after such a great effort from the players, the club, the staff, everybody all season to come into a major semi-final and get beat by that is harsh. And quite possibly have too many in the sin bin for a period of time. Certainly hurts you.
And 2 men missing as well, Mickey McIllorum and Joel Tompkins. How much did that cost you tonight?
I don't think, they're good players, but it was, I thought we was really in it. I thought it was a really physical game for, particularly the first half, and we weren't too worried about the scoreboard at half time. I thought we could get our way back in it, but the 2 tries off kicks in the first 10 minutes of the second half took the scoreboard away from us, and then we pulled ourselves apart in the second half.
Before the game, you said that you had a lot to talk about in relation to last week and those bans. The season's over for Catalan. Yeah. We've got time. What do you want to say?
It's probably again for another time. I want to digest this game first and foremost, and probably at the appropriate time talk about the whole process of that, because it was a very, very difficult situation for everybody involved.
Should they have been here tonight playing, or...?
Oh, look, like I said, I'll speak about that properly at another time. It's you know, tonight's game is about St Helens. It's about St Helens and Wigan getting to the grand final, and quite clearly those two teams are the best two teams in the competition. You know, we couldn't score a try tonight. Hull couldn't score a try last night. The two best defensive teams go head-to-head next week, and they deserve it.
Let's just talk about how difficult this season has been for Catalan, because I feel like the travel has kind of been glazed over a little bit. This was your 10th trip over the channel.
Yeah.
How tough has that been?
Well, it's been tough, but it's never an excuse, and it shouldn't have been. It's not an excuse. It's not an excuse tonight. It is difficult. It's not easy, and to do it so many times, you know, we found some routine and we found a way of doing it, and it's, you know, pay credit to the club's owner, you know, Bernard, and the people who support him, because we're not a massively rich club. This isn't like he's got that much money he can afford to do this. It's a bit like the kids wanting something for Christmas where you can't really afford it, but you find a way of getting it, and then you'll find a way of, oh, are we going to pay for it another time? And that's what he's done to keep us in the competition, and that's why, you know, our effort has been outstanding all season, but then to finish tonight the way he's finished is a really tough one for me personally and for us as a club.
Hindsight's a wonderful thing. Is there anything that you would have done differently?
There's not much we could do differently. We just had to find a way, and we were ready. I'll tell you, before the game, we were really well prepped. I thought we were ready to go. I thought we started well. Like I said, the Simba nearly cost us, you know, some points, but we nearly managed to claw our way back in it. So we'll have to go away and lick our wounds here, and hopefully come back next season, and hopefully, you know, it's a normal season for everybody involved next year.
We'll see you then.
Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah, it's understandably raw for Steve McNamara so soon after the final whistle and so soon after such a disappointing performance. I want to pick up on one thing particularly that he said. It's great because next Friday in the grand final we have without a doubt the two best sides in the competition contesting the 2020 Betfred Super League grand final.
Yeah, we do. And just before that, I just want to echo Steve's words, and I want to thank the Catalan Dragons for what they've gone through. It's been a tough effort for everybody, but especially those guys. So yeah. But going back to your point is, yeah, let's be honest, 1 and 2 playing in the grand final. It's how it should be. It's how it should be, and it's going to be a great game because Saints have shown tonight that they ain't going to let this go lightly.
And there was a little bit of edge to the game when they played the Wigan Warriors here 3 weeks ago. A noticeable edge in the tackle.
Yeah, and sometimes in defeat you learn more. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a great spectacle. A local derby, Wigan and Saints in a grand final. Does it get any better?
Well, I don't think so. It's all teed up for a great game next Friday, 27th here on Sky Sports. Half-time, 14 points to 2 to St Helens. Steve McNamara says, I wasn't worried. You can understand why. About the half-time scoreline, it went away from them pretty quick, though, in the second half, John.
Yeah, and you can look back on that with hindsight and go, given that they had to put up with, I thought what Saints did really well is they showed a great deal of patience. That's the one word we haven't used with them. We've used professionalism and execution, everything else. Patience was a real virtue for St Helens. That finally was the undoing. Let's take a look back at those second half points, and they didn't have to wait very long. And
2 minutes into the second half.
Yeah, this was the real killer, wasn't it? You know, good sides have a habit of hurting you at crucial times, and they scored on the 30th minute through Ngama, and then Ngama's picked up his second 2 minutes after the break. That's a 16-point ball game. That then is a change to the momentum in a game.
Sam Tompkins come with an error. Question mark as to whether Welsby had a hand in there. There was a brilliant play then put on that we've seen before from the St Helens side, Phil.
Yeah, you know, right at the coal face, Zeb Taylor knows that he's going to get smashed. Here it comes. You can go straight to the line with Theo Tharge. You know that Zeb Taylor, he knows that his ribs are going to get broke. And what a great piece of passing, though. You know, it's just a sublime pass. Lachlan Coote always in the right position. 24
points to 2. The game quickly going away for the Catalan Dragons. Question mark on that pass, John? Not that it's academic, I suppose.
Yeah, but yeah, at this stage, I don't think it matters. The game the try that broke the game was the try that we just saw from Lachlan Coote. And Len Lomax, having scored the try, gets taken out by Garcia. The referee had already warned that someone was going to sit down if this sort of behaviour continued, and so he did. And then, you know, that led to the floodgates opening, didn't it?
This brilliant player, James Bedley. What a season he's had.
Oh, he has come on leaps and bounds under Christian Wolf. You know, he come from Bradford, didn't get much opportunity, but he's been awesome.
Would you have thrown that pass?
Well, he had nothing to lose. The game's done, you know. But what you can see from Saints is, you know, Lomax, Coote, Farge, Roby all running the game, making the right decisions, and Catalans have got Maloney and Drinkwater making the wrong decisions.
Ngama's try made it 42 points to 2. Then Regan Grace, well, another one of the back three gets in on the scoring.
Yeah, and we knew this before the start of the game. This is where they were strong. So the game was done and dusted, and unfortunately for Catalan, they were on the wrong side of an unbelievable performance from Saints.
I mean, Steve McNamara is right. The night belongs to St Helens, but it'd be remiss of us not to comment on the Catalan Dragons' performance, even if in brief. At times, John, that was. I'm trying to find the word, a kind word for the performance, because it wasn't because of the absence of Michael McElorm or Joel Tompkins.
I'll give you some kind or more reasoned words, and we say if the game was still going on behind us now, I don't think the Catalan Dragons would have scored. It was a bridge too far for them. I think personally their grand final was the victory over Leeds in that elimination playoff spot. They have overcome a great deal of adversity, and I'll go one step further than Lee mentioned, and talking about the club and what Catalan Dragons have done as a unit. I think Bernard Gouache as an individual, I think, needs a whole heap of praise, and if they can find some way to enumerate him further down the line, I mean, that's something that's kept the credibility of this entire league going, and that's really significant. But in terms of tonight's game, they could still be playing now, they wouldn't have scored. It was a bridge too far for them tonight.
You singled out Sam Tompkins as the leader in the Catalan Dragons field and a potent attacking weapon. They kept him quiet. We've heard Steve McNamara, his coach's assessment of the game. Let's hear from Sam himself now with Jenna.
Did it go wrong tonight?
I think that the second half we got pretty loose in our defence. It turned into a really scrappy game. The referee stopping the game every couple of minutes, and when St Helens were on the front foot, they're very hard to stop. Obviously having 2 periods with 12 men at us as well, so yeah, a lot to work on from that game.
Your coach said that he was happy with the start, and at half-time he didn't want the players to get carried away with the scoreline. What do you think happened? You came back out and then there was a quick try scored by St Helens. Was it all just too much in the end?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was scoreboard pressure in the second half. We knew we were going to be chasing the game. We couldn't really get any momentum, so we were coming up with some pretty soft plays with the ball, and it meant they were able to attack us from deep in their own half, and it paid off. They're the second best team in the competition, so with as many opportunities as we gave them tonight, they're going to score points, and they did that. After
that performance tonight, it's Wigan, your former team, up against obviously tonight's opponents. Who's your money on?
I think the game a few weeks ago with Wigan and Saints probably proved that those 2 teams are a step above everybody else, and Wigan came out on top of that. So I'd put my money on Wigan.
Thank you so much for talking to us tonight, and enjoy the off-season.
Thank you. Cheers.